Washington, D.C. was cold that morning, but inside Capitol Hill, the atmosphere was on fire. Cameras were rolling. Microphones were live. And the entire nation, no, the world, had its eyes locked on one room, a high-stakes congressional hearing that could change everything. At the center of it all stood Adam Schiff, former chair of the House Intelligence Committee, a seasoned politician, and a polarizing figure. Today, he was set to defend himself against accusations of misconduct and manipulation. The media was buzzing. Reporters lined the courtroom walls. News tickers blared. Schiff under fire. Is this the end of his reign? But amid the noise and spectacle, something unexpected happened. A woman quietly entered the room. No grand entrance. No announcement. Just calm, calculated steps. Pam Bondi, former prosecutor. Known for her poise. Feared for her precision. She wasn't part of the official hearing panel. So why was she here? And more importantly, what was in that sleek black folder she carried tightly under her arm? Few noticed her entrance. Fewer understood the storm she was about to unleash. The judge gavelled the hearing to order. Schiff approached the mic, confident and composed. "This hearing is nothing more than a politically motivated circus," he began, voice sharp and rehearsed. "I will present the truth. I will clear my name." That's when Pam Bondi stood, calmly, gracefully, and with words that froze the room. "Mr. Chairman, before Mr. Schiff continues, I have newly obtained evidence that drastically changes the nature of this investigation." A hush fell over the courtroom. Schiff turned, surprised, caught off guard. A flicker of nervousness flashed across his face. The judge nodded for her to proceed. She opened the black folder, revealing a USB. She handed it to the technician. "The footage you're about to see," she said, "has been authenticated through 3 separate sources. It's real. And it's devastating." The screen came to life. Grainy, time-stamped security footage played. A private office. A closed-door meeting. Adam Schiff, on screen, seated with aides. His voice clear. "Leak the report. Let them panic. That's how we control the narrative." Gasps echoed through the room. Reporters lunged for their phones. Senators whispered in disbelief. Pam stood silent, eyes locked on the screen, unflinching. Schiff's face, live on national television, went pale. He didn't speak. Couldn't speak. In that single moment, America realized this wasn't a hearing. This was a political earthquake. And the ground had just started to shake. The silence was deafening. As the grainy footage ended, the room sat frozen. No coughs, no whispers, not even the clicking of reporter keyboards. Just stunned stillness. Adam Schiff's face was drained of color. His hands trembled slightly as he reached for his water glass. But the glass was already empty. Pam Bondi didn't gloat. She didn't raise her voice. She simply walked back to the microphone, calm and collected, and said, "Let the record show, this is only the beginning." Schiff suddenly jolted forward. "This video is doctored. Deepfake technology is evolving. This isn't admissible." But Pam was ready. She raised her hand and motioned toward a digital forensic analyst seated quietly in the back. The man stood, took the mic, and said, "We ran full forensic authentication. The metadata aligns. The source IP matches a secure congressional server. The voice analysis is a 99.7% match. This footage is real." Gasps again. The judge leaned back in his chair, visibly disturbed. Several committee members looked at each other, unsure whether to speak or stay silent. Schiff looked around, suddenly surrounded by suspicion instead of support. His allies no longer made eye contact. His defense team whispered behind him, visibly shaken. Pam didn't stop. She clicked a remote. Another screen lit up. This time, bank records. Clean, encrypted, but revealing a pattern. Payments from obscure PACs and foreign-backed organizations, all traced to shell companies, all funneled to associates closely tied to Schiff's circle. Then came the emails. Dozens of them. Encrypted, but decrypted by a whistleblower. One line from an email echoed through the room as it was read aloud. "Push the intelligence angle. If we control the threat, We control the vote." The words hit like a sledgehammer. One senator stood up, visibly outraged. "Are you saying he manipulated national security intel for political power?" Pam turned, looking directly at the senator. "I'm not saying it. The evidence is." Schiff stood up now, panic setting in. "This is a setup. This is political theater. She's trying to assassinate my character." Pam stepped closer, her voice firm. "Then explain this next video. Because it shows you walking out of the Intelligence Committee with a sealed envelope, one that was never logged, on the same night that a leak reached the press." She pointed to the screen. Another video began to play. And this time, Schiff's hands were literally caught in the act. The courtroom exploded into chaos. Reporters ran out, phones ringing, headlines already being drafted. Outside, the public was watching this unfold live. Social media blew up. #SchiffLeaks and #Pam Bondi exposed were trending globally. Inside, Schiff slumped back in his chair. His confidence gone. His eyes empty. Pam looked straight ahead. Her voice low, calm, and surgical. "You can lie to the public. You can lie to the press. But you can't lie to the evidence. And it just put you on trial." And with that, she turned the page. Because the real storm hadn't even started yet. Pam Bondi's revelation had shaken the courtroom to its core, but she wasn't finished. With a steady hand, she clicked her remote once more, and a new set of documents appeared on the big screen. Detailed bank transactions, encrypted communications, and a trove of classified emails that no one had seen before. The room fell silent again, but this time the silence was heavier, filled with dread. Each document seemed to paint a darker picture. Schiff wasn't just involved in a minor scandal, but at the center of a deep and tangled web of corruption. One by one, Pam began to lay out the connections. The bank records traced large sums of money funneled through offshore accounts linked to foreign lobbying groups. The emails revealed coded language and secret instructions between Schiff and several operatives embedded inside key government agencies. Then came the twist nobody expected. Pam's voice dropped. "There's one more name involved in this conspiracy, someone you all trusted. A sitting senator, considered a pillar of integrity. But this senator's fingerprints are all over this operation." She paused. Cameras zoomed in as she delivered the bombshell. "Senator Langston." The room gasped collectively. Langston was well known, respected, and considered above reproach. Now his name was dragged into the scandal. Murmurs turned into whispers, and whispers into gasps. Langston himself, who had been quietly watching from the back, suddenly rose to his feet. His face betrayed shock and fear. Without a word, he stormed out of the room, leaving everyone stunned. Schiff's panic deepened. He stood, voice shaking but loud. "This is a political witch hunt. A smear campaign orchestrated by my enemies." But Pam was relentless. "The evidence doesn't lie, Mr. Schiff. Every trail leads back to you and Senator Langston. And this is bigger than politics. This is betrayal." At that moment, the courtroom doors burst open and staff members rushed in with additional files. Whistleblowers had come forward overnight with even more damning proof. The tension was palpable. The hearing was no longer just about Schiff. It had morphed into an all-out investigation into the heart of political corruption. Pam glanced briefly at Schiff, her eyes cold but unwavering, and said quietly, "We're only getting started." And with that, the courtroom plunged deeper into chaos, the true scale of the conspiracy just beginning to reveal itself. The courtroom recessed, but the storm outside was just beginning to rage. News networks exploded with breaking headlines, social media ignited with hashtags, and protesters gathered in droves outside the Capitol. America was glued to their screens, watching every second of the unfolding scandal. Pam Bondi returned to the microphone as the hearing resumed, her demeanor calm yet commanding. She held in her hand a small, unassuming envelope. Inside was the most explosive piece of evidence yet. With a decisive click, she played an audio recording. The room fell instantly silent as voices filled the airwaves. It was Adam Schiff, caught on tape speaking in hushed tones with an unidentified agent. The conversation was chilling. They discussed how to manipulate the news cycle, orchestrate leaks, and control public perception in the lead-up to a crucial election. Schiff's voice was unmistakable. His tone was cold, calculating, and utterly ruthless. The faces of the senators paled, some exchanging grim looks. Reporters furiously typed notes. Viewers at home held their breath. The camera cut to Schiff's face, live on television. The veneer of composure cracked. Sweat beaded on his forehead. His voice faltered. The confident, commanding figure had been reduced to a man caught in a trap. Then, in a moment that stunned millions, Schiff abruptly stood, knocking over his microphone, and stormed out of the hearing room. The broadcast caught every second. His exit was raw, unfiltered panic. Pam Bondi turned to the cameras and said with steely conviction, "Truth doesn't panic. Only liars do." The nation erupted. Calls for investigations multiplied. The very foundation of trust in leadership trembled. The so-called deep state cracks had finally begun to show. As Schiff's allies scrambled for damage control, the public demanded answers and justice. Pam's words echoed loud and clear, signaling that this battle was far from over. The war for truth had entered its most explosive chapter yet. Ask ChatGPT.